Hi, everybody. So nice to see you all here in person. I hope you're comfortable with the seating the way that we've got it worked out. If not, move to where you are comfortable, even to the outside if you feel you need to do that. If you can't socially distance from people who aren't in your family group, please wear a mask unless you're eating an apple right now. Okay. We wanted to give this a try, and I really appreciate those of you who are willing to come out and join us today. I am the president of the board. I've been president of the board now. I think this is the end of my third year, and I am very proud and pleased to be in that role. So I have some thank yous to do before we get completely started here. I want to thank Michael Faber and Beth Kozik and the rest of the marketing and the whole co-op staff for their help in organizing this meeting. And a special shout out to Jen Risley, who's always there to help and do good work. I want to thank board members Emmy Haddock, who couldn't be here today, Aubrey Saxton, who is here, the donut woman. There she is. And Dee Fitzgerald for their planning of this meeting. They worked really hard to pull this all together. I want to thank Dr. Lydia Clemens and the Clemens Family Farm for sharing their story, and you'll get to see that a little later. We have a video from Lydia. I want to thank Alex Trombley for his technical expertise. He's doing there will be a recording. This meeting is being recorded, and it will be available after the meeting. And I want to thank Maple Nut Kitchen for the goodie bags with all the granola. Okay. So here's a quick look at what we're going to do today. Michael is going to come up and do the Cooperator of the Year award. It's an award that the board makes every year to individual in the community who has demonstrated the values and principles of the cooperative movement in a way that advances and benefits the community. We're going to see the video that we have from Lydia Clemens. Then we'll open up the business meeting. And Michael will come back up and give you all the data and information about our success and our challenges for the last year. I'm going to recognize board members who are completing their term, and one board member who is former board member who's not here, but I want to make sure we do a shout out for him. And then we'll do the election results, and then we'll be done. We also have to, oh no, I'll say that later. Okay, Michael, your turn.
Great. Well, thanks for being here today. It's again, great to be able to meet in person. I know it's a challenging time, and appreciate the effort that you've all made to be here. It's my pleasure to be able to announce this year's Cooperator of the Year award, and this year's award goes to Jack Dugan, and I want to just share the history. Jack works behind the scenes on a lot of community projects, and many people don't know all of the work that he's done on behalf of our co-op, and I want to share that important story with you all today. So Jack recently retired from the Monadnock Economic Development Corporation. Jack had served in that role since 1990, and Jack's had a huge impact on a number of community projects during that time, and one of those projects would become what we're celebrating today, the Monadnock Food Co-op. From the first stages of organizing our co-op, Jack shared our vision for what a community-owned food co-op could add to our city and the wider region. Jack had faith in the organizing team, cheering them on and connecting them to community leaders at crucial moments. Before any founding members joined the co-op, he helped connect Bonnie, our first project manager, to local foundations and community organizations to raise funds for our initial market study, a necessary step of due diligence to demonstrate the financial feasibility of our co-op in Keene. And when our co-op searched for a site for its future store, Jack offered us the opportunity to locate our co-op right here in the former railroad land of Keene. This was our ideal location, as we wanted a space in the heart of Keene just off of Main Street. We couldn't have found a better site. All along the process, Jack helped us connect with elected officials and hold press conferences to gather support for our project. He spoke at our 500-member owner celebration to share the vision for the future of the railroad land and the community benefits our co-op would bring. He was a regular presenter at our co-op's earliest annual meetings, and if you were there at some of those meetings, you'll remember hearing from Jack then and sharing updates on our planned site. In 2012, Jack helped us pull together all of the financing necessary to construct and equip our initial store, including a $500,000 CDBG grant. As a startup business with no track record, this was huge, as it can be very difficult and expensive to get financing for a business like ours that had yet to exist. After our co-op agreed to the site, I shared some concerns with Jack about the amount of parking, and Jack worked with us to provide more parking spaces so that we had 40 dedicated parking spaces for opening day back in 2013. As our store grew and parking again became a concern, Jack once again played an essential role in helping us to get access to additional parking. He helped coordinate the purchase of 14 city parking spaces in our lot, and it was his idea to help coordinate a lease with Cheshire Medical Center, which gave us access to another 24 additional parking spaces that we're now using daily. Later on, as our co-op outgrew the space, it was Jack's idea to amend the condo association documents, the entity that owns the land around us, to make the lot where our co-op sits and where our tent stands today into a contiguous lot. This laid the groundwork for what we see today and our expansion project. Jack then helped work to get approval from all the condo association owners to make our expansion happen. Jack identified financing for our expansion and secured another $500,000 CDBG grant to help support our project. When the new market tax credit financing didn't materialize as planned, Jack connected our co-op with Vermont Rural Ventures, a new market tax credit lender who committed tax credits to our project. Thanks to Jack's relationship and reputation, our project was a choice for those tax credits among many other competing projects. If you live in the area, undoubtedly you've heard of the positive impacts Jack Dugan has had on our community. Few know the behind-the-scenes work that Jack did for our co-op. Without his help, our co-op would not be where it is today, quite literally. And like you, he's a member owner of our co-op. Please join me in thanking and congratulating Jack as the recipient of this year's Cooperator of the Year Award. To honor Jack, we've got the Cooperator of the Award plaque for you. Here you go, Jack. And this is a rendering of our co-op prior to the expansion and all the work, to recognize all the work that Jack did to help us get to and expand our site here. So thank you, Jack.
Thank you very much.
So I'll throw these down here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Michael, for tracking me down in retirement, and because this is a wonderful honor, it really is. I'm usually very uncomfortable about receiving these type of things, because it obviously takes a lot of people and a lot of teamwork to get projects completed. But now that I am in retirement, I'm glad to accept the award. But I'm also glad to say, or able to say at this point, that we accomplished a lot at MEDC over the 30 years that I worked there. Of the $100 million plus we invested in real estate development projects in the region, and the tens of millions of dollars that we made in loans to area businesses to help them grow, I can now safely say that the co-op project has always been my favorite. It's always been my baby. Now that's, and the reasons for that are many. You know, there's obviously the community impact that the co-op has provided, the new jobs, the support of regional producers, a new anchor in downtown Keene in a time when we really needed a new anchor with downtown box stores like Sears and Woolworths long gone to get people on Main Street with money in their pockets. But I think that the most important reason why this is my favorite is because of the people that I've encountered over the last 15 years who have represented and worked for the co-op. As Michael mentioned, this project, the seed for this project was probably 14, 15 years ago. And I was invited to a meeting of a small group of people at Hannah Grimes across the way here to talk with them about, was there a way we could get a co-op in Keene? And so I walked into the meeting room, and I knew right away this was not the usual sport coat and tie crowd. There was a lot of hand-spun, hand-dyed, hand-knitted items of clothing, lots of sandals, and a fair amount of ponytails on both the women and the men. But, you know, you could look beyond that, and what you saw was an incredible commitment and an incredible passion that these people had for bringing a first-rate co-op to Keene. I went home that night, and I said to my wife, Deb, we got to find a way to help these people because they're serious and they'll make it work. That led to MEDC and me reaching out, as Michael suggested, to a number of funding sources to accumulate the millions of dollars necessary to get this project off the ground and to build a new building and equip a new building, especially in light of the fact it was a startup. It was a kind of an uphill climb at the beginning. But we were successful in assembling a lot of money, but all those various funding sources said, you know what, before you break ground, you've got to get those co-op people to reach out into the local community and gather some local equity, some local investment, some membership investment before you can break ground. And I think that's when I first met Bonnie and her colleagues. The initial step in that process, as Michael mentioned earlier, was a feasibility study. So we needed to come up with some money. And in short order, we at MEDC were able to come up with some of the money necessary to do the feasibility study. And again, to show you the difference is the people and the passion, I think I wrote Bonnie an email and I said, we've got the grant, we can move ahead with the feasibility study. She sent me a one-word answer, rockin'. So we continue to work with Bonnie, and in very short order, she and her colleagues blew through the number of memberships that the funding sources had required, and were able to start construction. And I still have to admit that to this date, I haven't met too many people who wear a carrot costume as well as Bonnie did. For those of you who were around back then, I should probably give that a little framework here. There was you've seen them United Way and others, they do these thermometers and they mark off as they're going up the thermometer. Well, it being the co-op, it wasn't a thermometer, it was a carrot. So Bonnie used to don a carrot costume and go to fundraising events and so on and so forth. A silly costume, but again, I think the people at those fundraising events looked through that costume to see a very serious, committed, passionate person. Again, it was all about the people. I've enjoyed the last decade or so working with Michael on a number of different aspects. Some of the funding for the expansion, a very, very creative way, I thought, to get new parking spaces on a couple of occasions. And, but to be honest, what's always impressed me is that from the very beginning, the experience of going into the co-op and working with the people that are employed there is like no other. They're invested in their jobs. They're invested in the mission and the commitment to the co-op. And to me, anyway, that makes a world of difference. I'd much rather come here than any place else to buy groceries, and to socialize and to derive the community benefit from the organization. So I want to thank you for this, again, tremendous honor, and congratulations to all of you on the grand reopening of a beautiful expanded co-op in downtown Keene. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. There we go. So, let me just find my introduction for Lydia. Hold on one second. There she is. Okay, so Lydia, tall person was there. Thank you. Lydia couldn't be here in person, but she did send us a video, and she's going to tell us about the Clemens family farm in Charlotte, Vermont. Dr. Lydia Clemens is a medical anthropologist with 35 years of experience in the design, management, implementation, and evaluation of programs related to nutrition, HIV and AIDS, maternal and reproductive health, child survival, food security, and social and behavior change communication in more than 20 countries, mostly in Africa. Dr. Clemens has a doctorate in medical anthropology from the University of Pennsylvania and a master's of public health from the University of Michigan. She was raised on a farm in Charlotte, Vermont, and in 2013 she returned there to help her parents plan for the future of their farm, one of just 0.4% of U.S. farms that remain in Black hands. Today, the Clemens Family Farm, a nonprofit organization, mobilizes the power of African American and African diaspora history, art, culture, and people to build a loving and supportive multicultural community in Vermont, and to both conserve and preserve the physical farm as an African American owned land and cultural heritage asset for future generations. Recently, Dr. Clemens was awarded the Con Hogan Award for Creative Entrepreneurial Community Leadership from the Vermont Community Foundation. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Lydia Clemens. So I don't have anything formal planned, but I thought we could take a few minutes at this point to share reflections on what Dr. Clemens had to say, how it relates to our work as a cooperative, how it relates to our end statement about all are welcome, our new big sign that says everyone's welcome at our store. So does anybody have any reactions, anything they would like to share from a personal perspective about what you heard? Yes, Susan.
We moved here maybe 25 years ago, and this is a much more diverse, well, it's a much more diverse community than it was then. It's not yet a very diverse community at all. But I'm thinking of people that are here of Hispanic descent, of, African American descent or ethnicity, and I'm not sure Indian, that we would find their food, in prepared products or on our shelves. And I'm wondering how we could invite them into a conversation about that. I know that there's a wonderful international store now downtown, but I'm just wondering, and maybe it's more is there than I know. I'm probably not looking for it, but I'm wondering, how we could invite them as people with culinary, interests and diversity, and engage them in that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's an important observation, and it causes me to want to share with you a little bit about what the board has been doing with the Everyone Welcome end statement. We decided to take a look at our own policies and procedures and processes for how the board operates. And we have been doing that. There's a group of us that have taken those policies and are looking at them with a justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion lens. And then there's the whole way and so that's stuff about how the board operates, how we make decisions, how we recruit people to run for the board, how we communicate with our membership, how we reach out to people who have a voice that is different than the one we have. And then there's the whole part about, the job of the management of the store and how it reflects the needs and choices and wants of our community. And I think that there's plenty of space for that. We've been talking about maybe doing some listening sessions to gather people like yourself and others. And I was thinking when you were talking I don't know that I would know if I look in the store and am I seeing the kind of ethnic food that other people would like. I think we very definitely need to be asking those people, yeah. So I think you make a really good point, and it is a way to be welcoming. I think that as I go forward now in this work, I'm going to be thinking about what Dr. Clemens said about you can't welcome others into your world, into your space, unless you have that space, unless you have agency and you have some control over what's going on there. And that's a perspective that I had not had up to this point. It's like, well, our doors are open, we say everyone welcome, and we want you to come in and shop with us. But exactly how do we operationalize that? And so that's the challenge, and we would love to hear from members about how to do that in a way that really will work. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Yes, Jamie.
Hi. I was behind you. I'm Jamie Comtois, and helped with the founding of the Monadnock Food Co-op as a volunteer some years ago. How long ago was it now, Michael?
12 seconds?
A long time. And this, I remember your point, Sue, was one that I was thinking about, and particularly conscious of, at the time, I think CNS had a number of staff that were from India. And I remember thinking, as we were starting to create some of these systems, how do you do that work? So I would love to think, I've also thought about in a lot of the work that I see organizations and communities doing around specific to anti-racism work, about how we continue to look for systematizing and self-reflection. So both the individual work that we need to do and also how what you're talking about operationalize. So I really appreciate that. And one thought that has continued to come up in some of the work I've done is how do you go to where people are at? So instead of looking at welcoming in a couple different ways, instead of inviting people to you going to people. And so I've been curious about how in the cooperative movement do we continue to do that practice where we meet people where they're at, versus saying, come to this space. So thank you for doing listening sessions, because I feel like a lot of times the blind spots are hard to see until you ask for another person's voice that you can't see. So thanks for committing yourself to that work.
And it's not us, the board committing, it's us committing on your behalf to do that work. So we hope that you'll all join us in that. Before we all blow away into next week, and Kathy, how was the shower? I heard this big splash, and I said, who threw all that water on Kathy? Kathy's our immediate past board president, as you probably know. So what we're going to do now is move on to the formal business meeting. I got to go this way, right? Yeah, there you go. And look at that. That's the 10th annual meeting. I think we deserve a round of applause for ourselves. And so I'm going to call the meeting to order. The first thing I want to do is entertain a motion to approve the minutes from last year's meeting. If you remember, it was kind of in this dark room from Hannah Grimes, and there was me and Jay and a couple other people. Okay. Moved that we approve the minutes. Do I have a second? Second. Lots of seconds. All in favor? Okay. All right. That's done. So I just want to say a couple more things about the work that the board's done this year, aside from the work we've been doing on policy. There we go. So completing the store expansion on time and within budget by itself is amazing. Yeah. Layer that on top of the pandemic, it was even more amazing. Our board provided oversight. I held a shovel at the groundbreaking. That's the last that I did, I think. But Michael was spotted many times with a tool belt and moving shelves and doing all the things that were necessary to get this project done. We're proud of the results. We, the board, are very proud of the results, and we hope that you are too. There's been a lot of communication between the board and the co-op management as we've gone through the last 18 months about the challenges brought on by the pandemic in the store itself, and Michael will share some more of those. Some of them were obvious to you. We've undertaken an examination of our policies, as I said, and we're continuing to do that, and you'll be hearing, I think, more about that. The other members of the board and I are excited, and they're not all here because of the change of date. We had some people that had other plans, but if those that are here want to just stand up, there's Jed Hart in the back of the room, and Dee Fitzgerald, who you saw earlier, and Aubrey out in the parking lot, and David Sales is somewhere. There's David right there, behind those sunglasses. Is that it? I think that's it. Okay. So we're excited, as I'm sure many of you are, to watch our co-op over the next couple of years to fully realize the promise of the expansion and be the best that we can be. Okay, so Michael's going to come back up and give you all the information that he has about how the co-op the store is running, and our impact on the community. It's amazing data. There he is.
Great. First off, just, a huge thank you to all of you. I mean, without your support and your patronage of our co-op, we really wouldn't be here today. The support that you've provided the co-op, especially during, the last 18 months of, going through some real challenges, has really been a testament to the commitment that the community has for our co-op. And, I'm especially grateful for all of that support. It's obviously, again, been huge for us. And, and then secondarily, certainly want to support and just offer my thanks to all of the staff of the co-op. A number of them are here today, and just want to give them a shout out. Yeah. Want to thank the board for their leadership. They're a committed group of volunteers that work tirelessly on your behalf, and want to certainly acknowledge just all the great local producers that we have in this region who, have continued to put healthy food on the shelves for us, and help sustain us during this time. So, yeah, we're going to look into a bit more detail here about some of the results of this past year. So the first thing I wanted to just take a look at here is we'll look through a series of different graphs. This graph is of our what we describe as our customer count. It's quite literally just the number of customers that come into the store on an annual basis. The green bars just represent past years, and the blue bar on the far right corner is fiscal year 2021. So that's the year we're reporting on. That year ended June 30th of 2021. So just this past year. We are now in our next fiscal year, which ends on which is fiscal year 22. That'll end next June. So you can see, looking at this slide by itself might be a little alarming. Customer count has declined the last 2 years here, and that's been entirely because of the pandemic and just the way people's shopping habits have changed. And the good news is, on the positive side, we've seen our average basket, and our average basket represents really just the average amount that a shopper spends while they're in the store. To maybe come out from some of the alarm from the past slide, you can see that the average amount that the customers are spending at our co-op has significantly increased, and that's probably consistent, throughout the country and throughout grocery stores nationwide. Just customers are making fewer trips into the store and trying to buy more during that visit. And fortunately, those two things have led seamlessly to a huge increase, a continued increase in sales for our co-op. So the customer count, the decline in customer count has been completely made up by the fact that shoppers are purchasing more. We reached just over 17 million in sales this past fiscal year, which is that blue bar. And that was a growth rate of 14%, and that puts us pretty much exactly where we had hoped to be with our expansion, in terms of the projections that we had developed, our financial projections on the sales that we had hoped would materialize out of this. So really, really great news here. And again, a huge thanks to all your support and commitment to help make this happen. The far orange slide bar is this fiscal year that we're in. We're projecting to break 18 million in sales. So, the graph in itself really just speaks to itself, all the way back in 2013, where our co-op first opened, and just the really dramatic growth that we've seen. And, really that's what's led, to everything that, has come this past year with the expansion and everything else. So just want to, take that into net income and talk about what that's meant for the co-op's bottom line. So this past fiscal year, in blue, we had a net income of 6.4%, a really great year. Although I do want to sort of preface that a little bit by saying our co-op received a payroll protection loan. And that loan was used for covered expenses in in fiscal year 2020, but the loan was forgiven in fiscal year 2021. So you can see that big jump in blue there. A huge part of that is the payroll protection program loan that was forgiven. If you take that loan out, that's what our net income looks like for the fiscal year. So still really positive. We had a great year despite the pandemic and going through the expansion, but certainly significantly less. And just to prepare you for what's ahead, we are projecting a negative net income for this fiscal year that we're in now, and that really is something that we had projected with the expansion from the early days of planning it. All of our additional expenses, really are coming on this fiscal year, and we do expect it'll take us a couple of years to gradually climb out and get back into the positive. And there's certainly a decent chance actually we can break even or even be positive this year, but currently we're showing or projecting a negative net income for the fiscal year. So as you all know, we had a really great year, and one of the great benefits of being a co-op is that we're able to share our profits with member owners. Instead of sending our profits out of state to some other headquarters, all those profits get recirculated into our community. And it was of great pleasure that the board had decided to return $172,000 in the form of patronage refunds back to you all. And really a great thanks again to all your support and your dedication to the co-op during this challenging time through this pandemic. Yeah. We're also hugely grateful for all the work our staff have done and their resilience during some of these challenges. Every once in a while I try to identify, gosh, when is sort of the most challenging time we've been in, and I actually would say it might be right now. I know we've had some challenges with compliance on face coverings and all that fun stuff, but right now our co-op is right in the middle of another set of unique challenges. At the top of the list certainly would be supply chain challenges. Our primary supplier, UNFI, does not have the pickers nor the drivers to give us all the goods that we order from them on a weekly basis. So we're consistently not getting the products that we want and need for our store. On top of that, we're seeing a huge spike in food inflation, which adds a huge burden to our staff in managing that. And we're not immune to some of the staffing shortages that businesses throughout the country are experiencing right now. So really grateful for all our staff and all the work they've done. We paid out this past fiscal year $46,000 in appreciation pay to recognize their work through the pandemic. And I'm also happy to say we have a profit sharing plan, just like we have the patronage refund plan for member owners. We have a profit sharing plan for our staff. It's called our Staff Gain Share, and we distributed our best year this past fiscal year of $121,000 to staff to recognize all the work that they've done. So there's a bunch of them here today, yeah. So this was our biggest payout since we started the Gain Share program, and certainly really well deserved. Looking at some of the other impacts of our co-op, local sales is certainly a key metric for us that we love to watch. And with adding all this space, one of our goals was to really grow the sales and the support of local farmers and producers. And I'm pleased to share that local sales jumped to $6 million this past fiscal year. And we're projecting in orange another jump this in the year that we're in now up to 6.5 million. So thanks for all your support of these products and these farmers and the producers behind them. Yeah, give yourself a hand of applause. Yeah, I like it. That's great. An important part of our co-op is that our co-op is accessible. And we've got a number of programs that help to realize that. The goal of being accessible to everybody, really goes back to the very beginnings of the co-op, and where we initiated a program called the Healthy Food for All program, which for those who aren't familiar with it, it provides a 10% discount to those who are in financial need. And you can see each year we've increased the amount of discounts that we've given out annually. It's an impressive trend, and this past year we provided a little over $51,000 in discounts to help support and make healthy, local, and organic food accessible to everyone. Another important program of ours to, again, make healthy food accessible is a program called our Double Up Food Bucks program. We implemented this program just back in 2019 when it became available. This provides a 50% discount up to $10 on fresh fruits and vegetables for EBT participants. It's a real win-win program as it incentivizes the purchase of fresh produce for those who might not otherwise be able to afford it, and helps to support local farmers, since so much of the produce the co-op purchases is from local sources. So it was great to see this year we redeemed the discounts through this program were over $24,000. Another really important community program that has a huge impact on our community is our Rounded Up donation program, and that's where you all play a huge role. Rounding those pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters up really translates to huge dollars for some of the local nonprofits in our region. And obviously, if more, as the co-op has grown, we've just more shoppers are coming through the store, and more Rounded Up donations are happening at the register. We raised $65,000 and distributed that to several nonprofits in the area. Organizations like the Community Kitchen, the Cornucopia Project, all really, really important programs and nonprofits that are doing important work. Another important part of our co-op is to build a strong and sustainable and improving local economy. We do that in a number of ways, but one of those ways is through job creation. And the number of jobs that we've been able to provide since the co-op has opened has continued to grow annually as the store has. We finished this past fiscal year with 122 staff. So it's we've over doubled the number of staff we started with. And one of the really cool things to see, especially this past year, but every year, is just as we add new positions and just watching our staff grow and develop into new roles in the store. And I'd love to just share a couple examples. Some of you might be familiar with Kenton Beatty. Started as our beer and wine buyer. He worked his way up to the grocery assistant manager role, and then earlier this year was promoted into our grocery manager position. Great example of someone who just really committed to the co-op and does great work, and really just continues to grow and develop within the store. Another great example would be Yuli Robertson in our produce department. Yuli started as a clerk, got promoted to an assistant manager role, and Yuli's now our produce manager in our produce department. So, it's really exciting to see our staff continue to develop and grow and move into new roles as the store has grown. So the benefits of having a locally owned co-op are really tremendous, and I just want to sort of summarize those here for you. Like I mentioned earlier, we gave out $172,000 in the form of patronage refunds. We retained $508,000 that got reinvested into our co-op. We paid out about $4 million in the form of wages and benefits to our staff. We purchased about $4 million in the way of local goods, and we spent another $3.5 million to local service providers just during this past fiscal year, for a total $12 million impact. So this is huge impact, at 12 million, and again, just really appreciative of all the dedication and support you've provided. That's really helped realize this. Lots of exciting things still to come this year. A few photos here. We want to work to put solar panels on the expanded part of our roof to just generate more clean and renewable energy right here on site in the space that we have. Our goal is to install some fast charging electric vehicle charging stations to help help the transition to cleaner vehicles. And we really want to help utilize some of the community spaces that were created through our expansion. And this top left corner is just a picture of some live music we had out in the amphitheater last night, and really looking forward to utilizing some of these community spaces in the months ahead and the years ahead. That's just sort of a quick glimpse. We've got a lot of exciting things in the works, and we'll continue to update you all on those things through our e-newsletter. If you don't get those updates, really encourage you to do so. You can go onto our website and sign up for them. We send a monthly newsletter out. So that takes us through sort of the highlights I wanted to run through with you all, and again, just sort of share some of the impacts that co-ops had this year, and just I want to take a few minutes to just open it up for some questions. Yes, Susan.
Actually, I have two. The first one is, where are you guys with your goal of having all of your staff be earning a living wage?
Yeah, great. So question was around livable wages. So right now, the co-op's starting wage is $13 an hour. This past year, we paid out about another 80 cents per hour through our gain share program, not including some of the other appreciation pay. And we've made improvements to the compensation rate of the co-op every year since the co-op opened back in 2013. And we are right in the middle right now of planning another improvement, and our goal is to get up to a minimum of $14, if not $15 an hour. So we're well along the way of working towards that, and it's certainly something we've made a lot of progress on, and we want to keep working towards. So yeah, great, thank you.
Just to put a stamp on, I would really love to see that get there, and if there's a way of pulling us all into that, I'm looking for it, but you are making progress. It feels like a long time.
Yeah.
And the second question is more technical. The discounted food and things like that, does that include your prepared meals?
Yeah, so the programs that we offer, like the Healthy Food for All program, those discounts do apply. So the Double Up Food Bucks is a program that is specific to fresh produce. So that program wouldn't qualify for prepared foods items, but our Healthy Food for All discount does. Yeah, great. Thanks, Susan. Yeah, some more questions. Yeah, Peg. The salad bar, yeah, yeah. Well, you've good timing with your question. We're hoping to install it this Wednesday night. Yep. So, yeah, thanks for your patience on that. You know, we've had a lot of twists and turns over the past year and a half with the pandemic, and we've finally worked through some of the challenges on our end, and our team has been working hard to bring that back. And yeah, if all things go as planned, we'll get that installed Wednesday night. You know, the operation of it may not be fully operational until next week, but we're closing in on that. So yeah, great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good. Yeah, Jay.
The state of New Hampshire just announced that they're stopping their organic certification program. I'm wondering if that's going to have any effect on our producers, especially our local producers.
Yeah, good question. So Jay asked about the organic certification, which is a service the state of New Hampshire has provided to organic farmers in the state of New Hampshire. I can't believe there's still water up there. So I think, yeah, it's an interesting question. So there are still private certifiers that are going to be available, but I think the real question is, I mean, one of the questions that I have, and, you know, we'll be interested to connect with our local farmers and talk with them more about this and see how we might help them. But the cost of the program, the cost that local farmers will is going to go up significantly now that the state of New Hampshire is no longer going to certify, be a certifying agency. And so, you know, that is a concern to some of our local farms where those costs can be a significant barrier or a significant problem for their viability. And so that's something we want to look at. And I think that's a great point, Jay, is just, you know, is there a way that we can help support some of those organic farms and that certification process? So, because it really helps us all when they do go through that certification process. Yeah, yeah, good. Did I see another hand? Yeah, yeah, Mitchell.
How about programs for, you know, leftover food going to like the community kitchen, so we can ensure that 100% is going and not being thrown away?
Yeah, we've always, yeah, so Mitchell just asked about, you know, waste of food from our co-op and, you know, where that, how that gets handled, where it gets directed and distributed to. Yeah, we have a commitment with working with the community kitchen. They come by our store most days each week to make pickups, and we segregate product out that we think will be usable, and, you know, we want to supply them. You know, we do rounded up donations for them and certainly support them in other ways, but that is one way that we continue to support them and make use of any waste we have that can be used in that capacity. Yeah, so, yeah, great. Yeah, good. Yeah, good. What else? Hearing none, yeah, again, just, you know, huge thank you to you all, and thanks for being here today and participating. It's an annual meeting, requires participants, so appreciate it. Yeah.
Just a couple more things before we adjourn. I want to give special thanks to two board members whose term has expired or is expiring. They're also on the ballot for next year, but we want to honor the time they have spent with us. So if I could have Dee and Aubrey come on up. Both these folks are people that stepped up and volunteered for vacancies in between elections. So we were really fortunate that they came along. So the other thing I want to do is Derek Galligan, who many of you voted for when he ran for election 3 years ago now. He had to leave the board last winter. He's not here today. I'm disappointed that he couldn't be here. But we have a gift for him, too, because he served the board well during the time that he was here. And I think he deserves a round of applause. And the last piece of business, I think, is I get to share the election results. We had about the same number of votes cast this year that we did last year, probably around 650 maybe. So that's really good. And you have elected Dee Fitzgerald for a full 3-year term. You've elected Aubrey for a full 3-year term. And Edward Selby, who's new to our community, was also elected for a 3-year term. And we want to thank Greg Anderson, who also ran this year, and we hope we'll see him again. And all of you who voted for him can do that another time. So that's our, oh, Jamie.
I wonder if there's any staff at the Monadnock Food Co-op that are celebrating a 10-year anniversary this year.
Boy, I think, is there? No?
Might be like
No.
the general manager?
All right. Well, it's more than that. More than that. Thank you. I didn't think of that because he actually started before the co-op, so he predates the co-op. Along with Bonnie, where's Bonnie? Bonnie's still here. This is the Bonnie. This is For those of you who don't know her, that's the Bonnie that Jack was talking about. She left her carrot at home, but okay, so I think we're all done. I want to, again, thank you all for being here. It was really nice to have folks here in person, and we'll try to do this again inside maybe next year. We'll see. We'll see. So can I have a motion to adjourn? A second? Any discussion? Anybody want to stay longer? No? Okay. Oh, right. I was supposed to say that. Okay, meeting adjourned.